Hello, everyone. Again, this is Jeffrey Davis reporting for Radio Entrepreneurs back in the studios and still streaming stories of leadership, entrepreneurship, and how people are dealing with this economy. I don't know what you listen to, but if you like entrepreneurship, in the years since we've started Radio Entrepreneurs, just this particular version, over 8,000 leaders and entrepreneurs we've interviewed. It's really quite amazing when you think about it. And the next one may be the best one ever. So keep your laptops going. Jeff Greenfield, co-founder and CEO of Provalytics. Welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Tell us, Jeff, about Provalytics.
Well, Provalytics solves the big problem that advertisers have always had, which is half the money I spend in advertising is wasted. The only problem is I don't know which half. That's it in a nutshell. Is it discovers what part of the ad spend that advertisers are spending on, what's not working, what's working, and actually tells them precisely what they need to do in order to boost their return on their marketing investment. Now, before all these privacy changes and stuff that we're dealing with the internet, there were ways to do this with big data, but that kind of all went away. So we've discovered a way to utilize AI and machine learning in order to get to the same answers that we could previously, but much faster.
So going back into another generation, I worked for a big 5 national marketing firm. And there probably was never a campaign that we didn't try to work on that the client didn't say to us, how do we measure the success of what you're doing? And it was the question that we always danced around uh, for various reasons, which I won't go into. So why don't you get a little bit more granular with me and tell me what you're measuring as if I'm the client so I could get more specifics about that, because I think this is very interesting.
Yeah, it's always the question of if we didn't advertise, how many sales would have come in on their own already, especially if you're an established business. So for large retailers, all of the advertising that you're actually seeing going on only impacts about 5% of their sales. If they were to stop all advertising, people would still come in because of the signs and their locations and things like that. We're actually utilizing a very old school technique, the math that's behind this, some of which has been around since the 1700s, oddly enough. But we're looking at the relationship between the impressions, the ad impressions in market, or you could call it the eyeballs, the number of eyeballs, the number of individuals we're trying to reach, and the actual events that we're trying to influence. The events could be the number of people who walk into our store, the total number of sales, the total number of leads. And it looks at that relationship and it looks at the causation. One is causing the other. And then it utilizes very deep statistical math and outputs all of the numbers so that there's full transparency that says, hey, this is a model, it's math. It's not 100%. In fact, there's an old saying that all models are wrong, some are useful. So that's the idea is that, and the way we're able to prove that it's useful is we hold back some of the data to be able to see how well does the model predict. Because it's really not about what happened yesterday. Really what marketers want to know is, okay, today's a new day, this is a new quarter, I have this amount of money to spend. Should I do the same thing I did last year or last month, or should I move it around a little bit? And what's happened today is that most marketers who are using digital marketing are stuck with Google Analytics, which is very what we would call bottom of the funnel. So most marketers tend to be over invested in one area more so than they should. And as a result, they're reaching fewer people. And with the advertising experience you've had, the number one adage is about you have to reach more people. And what's happening in today's world of marketing is that because of targeting, we're actually reaching fewer people. And that's one of the issues that this solves.
Well, it's all very interesting. And I do think that, you have to be able to measure whatever you do and see the result. But there are other factors involved, as you know, that influence buying. I mean, you might motivate someone to do something, but then they might not actually make the purchase in the end. And that might not be the advertiser's fault. But it's true, we want more data so that we can analyze down and figure out where do we need to focus our business. Uh, so Jeff, I mean, you just don't come by this business. What's your background? How did you get into it, and how did you evolve into it?
Yeah, so my background, I was on the brand side uh, a number of years ago, marketing for different brands, did some work in the pharmaceutical industry. And then I ran into this issue of doing some large scale branded entertainment product placement for clients. And these were amazing campaigns, but it always came down to the question, how do you measure? How can you tell the difference on what worked and what didn't work? And then I had a client that ran into an issue with some marketing and asked me to help solve it. And that led to the evolution back into the mid 2000s of building out one of these first technologies called multi-touch attribution back in 2008, a company called C3 Metrics. And that company focused on enterprise customers dealing with large budgets. And I exited that company in 2019, thinking I would never go back to measurement. And then all these privacy changes occurred, which meant what I had created previously was no longer going to work. And I saw an opportunity to come back into the marketplace. And that's where we're at now with Provalytics.
So is your background more of a research background, an analytical background, or a branded management?
I'd say it's more of a marketing background.
Just a general marketing?
Absolutely.
Is this the first business you've ever started?
No, I've had lots of different startups back before C3 Metrics. I created one of the first SaaS search engine optimization platforms, a company called Position Solutions, and hit that right around the time that real estate agents were coming online. And that enabled folks to get to the top of the search engines very, very simply, just essentially by filling out a form. That was back before Google. So that was a business. I've had a number of businesses throughout my lifetime.
Uh, so how long have you been doing this business?
This business started about 2.5 years ago.
And is there a particular kind of business that it appreciates what you do and tends to work with you?
Yeah, marketers and brands that are spending above $10 million a year or more that are across a multitude of different channels. Marketers that are just like buying ads on Facebook, they don't really have this problem because Facebook provides them great answers to their questions. But as soon as they go to Google, and then maybe they go to another channel and then maybe layer in some direct mail, now it becomes a question of what's actually working. It's not, there's no single source of truth. So our platform provides that source of truth across all of the different platforms and enables folks to know what they should be doing. So it's these larger marketers.
No, that's what I would have assumed. And is it a mix, or do you tend to be purchased by the client, director of marketing, or from an ad agency?
It's about 50-50. Our preference is to deal directly with the brand because this works best when it's embedded on the brand side. Agencies will use a tool such as ours to sell into a client because it becomes a competitive advantage for them. So the agencies that use this as part of their pitch, and you can imagine, just like what you said before, how in your previous life you danced around that question. Imagine going into a pitch and saying, hey, we don't have to dance around anything because we have essentially a GPS that's going to tell us what direction to move in with your money. And that becomes an advantage for them.
Well, it's all very interesting. And again, I think anything that measures and gives some feedback to the marketers is important, because marketing is important. There's more message, more data going out than ever before, harder to register with people. And so we need to know, excuse me, how our money is being spent. If someone wants to know more about you, connect with you, more about Provalytics, how would they contact you?
They would go to provalytics.com. They could also go find me on LinkedIn. I'll also say that we're at an interesting time in terms of the digital marketing and the internet with all of the privacy changes that's gone on. It's kind of a paradigm shift that's occurring. And a lot of marketers are left wondering, hey, what I was doing last year is not even available for me to do anymore. So we put together a free course an attribution certification. There's no cost. It's about an hour and a half long that gives you kind of the past, present, and what we think is the future of measurement for marketing. And you also get a great certificate for LinkedIn. So I would say folks that are even just a little bit interested or a little confused about what's happening in the marketing world, that's available as well on the provalytics.com website.
Oh, we appreciate that. And you never know, maybe my producer might show up in the course. So I want to thank you for being on Radio Entrepreneurs today. And as things progress or you have case studies, we hope you come back and stay connected with us and join the ever-growing network of Radio Entrepreneurs, followers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
This is Radio Entrepreneurs.